All right, we are in day 26 of the Karen Reed trial, day 3 of the defense case in chief, and Officer Barros from the nearby police department that facilitated the tow of Karen Reed's car took the stand just like he did in the last trial, except for last trial he was called only and questioned only by the state, and this time he was called by the defense. So let's take a listen to this, and then at the end we'll kind of watch Brendan make Lowley look stupid, but the jury doesn't know. And I'm wondering if this year they watch it and actually the Karen Reed's team feels a little stupid for not pressing so many of these points that they're trying to make this year. Like, why didn't you do this last year? Anyways, enjoy.
Good afternoon, sir.
Could you please state your full name, spell your last name for the jurors, please?
Nicholas Barros, Barros.
And where do you currently work?
The town of Dighton Police Department.
How long have you worked for the Dighton Police Department, sir?
Since 2011.
And what's your position there currently?
Currently, I am a sergeant.
What was your role once you arrived at the scene at the Reed household?
My role was Trooper Michael Proctor asked me to facilitate a tow.
Who was with Trooper Proctor when you arrived at the scene?
Sergeant Buchanan.
Had you ever met Sergeant Buchanan before?
Never.
Did you know him?
Nope.
Same with Trooper Proctor.
Correct.
Did he say anything about what his intentions were once he arrived at the location?
Yes, his intention was to retrieve a vehicle that he said was involved in a homicide.
Once you arrived at the residence, did you have an opportunity to see the vehicle that was the focus of Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan's attention?
Yes.
Did you have an opportunity to see the SUV?
I did.
Did you walk all the way around it?
Not all the way around.
Did you see the rear end of it?
I did.
This is the afternoon of January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Before the vehicle had been seized formally by Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan, correct?
Correct.
Did you observe anything of note about the rear end of that black SUV?
Yes, I noted in a report that there was damage to the taillight.
You say damage. Have you ever described that damage previously?
I have.
Can you tell us what that description is?
There was, it was damaged, the taillight was damaged, but there was a crack missing, but it was not completely damaged.
When you say there was a crack, do you mean there was a piece missing?
A piece was missing.
Can you describe for the jurors kind of what that piece looked like, how big it was, how small, the shape, as you would call it?
The piece was about maybe this big.
Is that maybe the size of a dollar bill, maybe 6 inches?
6 inches.
And how wide?
Maybe that wide, maybe 3 inches, 2 inches, somewhere in there.
Do you see what's depicted in this photograph?
I do.
What does that appear to be, just generally?
The right rear taillight.
Of what?
The Lexus SUV.
Is that consistent with the black Lexus SUV that you saw at the Reed residence?
That was the black Lexus. That was not the taillight the day I was there.
Zoom in on the right rear taillight, please.
Okay.
Do you see the condition of that taillight as it's depicted in this photo?
I do.
Sergeant Barros, is this the condition of the right rear taillight when you showed up at the Reed household at around 3:15 in the afternoon on January 29th, 2022?
Absolutely not.
What's different about this photo, sir?
That taillight is completely smashed out.
Describe in detail for the jurors what is different about this taillight as it's photographed here.
That middle section was intact when I was there. Towards that right side where that large chunk is, that's what was missing. This is what I saw was missing here.
Ultimately, was the black Lexus SUV towed and cleared from the scene?
It was.
What do you recognize as being?
This is the Reed residence. That tow truck is Diamond Towing, and that other vehicle that's at the rear of that tow truck is the Lexus SUV.
Can we play this video?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you see what's depicted in the still image of that video right now?
I can.
Does that appear to be a taillight?
Yes.
Does it look clear? Does it look like it's shining red?
Looks clear.
The portion that is intact, does that appear to be brighter red?
Correct.
All right. Is that the condition of the taillight as you saw it on January 29th around 3:15 or 3:30 when you got to the location?
It was.
The area that I'm circling here, do you see any red lens in that area?
No.
Is that consistent, this photograph consistent with the condition of the taillight as you saw it on January 29th, 2022, at just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. You've testified previously,
I have.
about a year ago.
Yes.
Did you use the phrase cracked but not completely damaged dent?
The objection sustained, Mr. Jackson.
And at some point, did you make any observations of the right rear part of that Lexus SUV?
I did.
And what, if anything, did you observe about that area of the vehicle?
I saw that there was some damage to the right rear taillight. To my best ability and recollection, that taillight was not completely damaged. It was cracked, and a piece was missing, but not completely damaged.
And then beyond the taillight area of that vehicle, what, if anything else, did you observe as far as damage to the rear passenger side area?
Like a dent on the rear quarter.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, cross-examination? No questions. All right, Sergeant Barros, you are all set.
Were you shown that?
No.
Had you ever seen that photo before?
Of course.
And you saw it at the last event you testified at, right?
Correct.
And when you were shown that photo during your prior testimony, you never, ever suggested that that was in any way different than what you had seen in Dayton.
Nobody asked me that.
When you were asked to describe the damage, and you were shown that photograph, you never, ever suggested that there was a difference in the damage as you see it in that photo compared to what you remember, did you?
I don't think anybody asked me to describe that.
Did you ever make a note or say anything that is dissimilar to what you remember at the last event that you testified at?
I testified that that was not the taillight the day that I saw it.
That taillight was not completely damaged. It was cracked, and a piece was missing, but not completely damaged.
At the end of the day, the only thing Brennan was successful at with this witness was telling us that he remembered the details involving the cop who was possibly hit by a car better than he remembered his testimony about that same cop, which is exactly the opposite of everyone else's testimony. Everyone else who got on the stand, including the Canton cop who's now working in Boston, who told us this day was but a blip on her radar 2.5 years ago and she can't even recall it, but explicitly remembers later when she had a conversation and cleared her name from perjury. It's like the shit that some people choose to remember. And then Brennan trying to make it seem like it matters so much that no one asked these questions. The state's the only person who asked him any questions. So I guess it just comes down to how believable the jury found Officer Barros. And I found him credible. And I thought today was interesting, but I got to know what you think. So leave me your comments down in the comment section. I am going to be playing this video for my chat. Good morning, chat. Before day 4, defense's case day 4, because Barros is still on the stand. He's going to have a little bit more to say, and then hopefully move into ARCA. So tell me what you think.